New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Why, hello, it's me, yes, me, Bonnie Gonzalez, your doula for grief. Good afternoon and welcome. If you are a returning guest, oh, I'm so honored to have you back here with me again today. And if you are new and just tuning in for the very first time, I want you to know that you have come to the right place to start your journey of recovering and moving through grief. And so I just say welcome, welcome, and make this hour about you and for you. Drop a comment or a question. Let us know you're out there and we are here for you. We're here for you and eagerly awaiting to hear any questions or responses that you care to share with us. And a little bit about me. I am a grief coach. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a religious science practitioner. And I am also a licensed soul collage facilitator. And we already have a comment there from my sweet, wonderful guest that has said yes to us today. So I am wanting to just give a little bit about what grief is. To know that grief is loss is what we experience, and grief is what we feel. And loss is just defined as any expected or unexpected event that happens and changes your life in a way that you cannot go back to the way it was before. And I always say that, yes, death is the biggest loss that we'll encounter. It is the hottest fire that we will ever have to move through. And with that said, and with giving death that place of honor, head of the table, there are other losses. There's divorce. There's geographical moves. There's, a loss of a lifestyle that we've had. There's divorce. How about the loss of a job, the changing of a relationship? Even things such as a graduation or a promotion, that definitely changes your life in a way that you can't go back to the way life was before. And then with those losses, grief is what we feel. And that, oh my goodness, grief comes in so many beautiful packages. Anger is a big one. Sadness, depression, numbness, confusion, the feeling like the rug has been pulled from under you, kind of a loss of your senses, your navigational skills are thrown off. So that is what this is about. And the thing that I always want people to know is that grief is a part of the human experience. Our culture so many times does not make space, or we're not allowed to talk about grief. We're not allowed to talk about those feelings that come with being in grief. And if there's anything that I have learned in doing this work, is that grief has three, healing ourselves from our grief has three components. That grief needs to be heard. Grief needs to be validated, and grief needs to be shared. And my favorite quote is from Bell Hooks, is that we cannot heal in isolation. So I want you to know that this, exactly the thing that we don't want to talk about is exactly the thing that we need to talk about. Because the beauty, the superpower of grief is healing. So it's that very thing that we need to do is sometimes what we shy away from, or just not support it in talking about. So I am here to move that needle, to bring grief out of the shadows, out of the closet, bring it, right smack dab in the middle of the room, in the middle of our lives. Because each one of us is so worthy of healing. And that healing is just truth revealed. Healing is wholeness. And we are all worthy of that. That is our birthright. So today, we have a beautiful theme and have a beautiful guest. So I'm just really excited to get to our topic here today. Our topic today, or today's theme, is grieving the loss of identity. And the question is, can you grieve the loss of yourself? And my beautiful guest wants to take this even deeper, explore it at an even deeper level. My guest has requested to take this topic deeper, to say, exploring grief as it relates to the spiritual journey, including identity issues and what's on the other side. And so with that, I want to go ahead and just get my guest out here so we can start this wonderful conversation and dialogue. And I am so happy to have today with me Shay Michelle Davis, who holds a master's degree in counseling and psychology. So I'm just honored to read her bio, and just going to use her words. She says that her calling is to share and teach what she has learned on her spiritual journey over the past 5 decades, because she wants all to feel as blessed as she is. As I said, she has been practicing holistic health since 1994 and holds a master's degree in counseling and psychology. Sorry, little tongue twister. She pairs philosophical, scientific, and new thought, ageless wisdom teachings to allow abiding love, peace, joy, happiness, wealth, safety, and provision to the mass consciousness. She is being the change she wants to see in the world through embodying God's qualities. So with that said, I want to welcome Shay at this time to the program and just thank her for being here. And we will have Shay come on in just a second. In the meantime, I want to say hello to those people that are out there. There's Garrett, says hello, Bonnie. Thank you, Garrett, for being here. And if you have any questions, Garrett, we'd love to hear them. Hello. And then we have Michelle Williamson, and she's here to support Shay all the way from Los Angeles. So from Mexico to Los Angeles, Shay is being loved up. And Shay wants to thank Michelle for her participation. And we also have Wayne from Calgary, God bless free Wi-Fi. Oh, I don't know where you are, but I'm paying for mine down here, Wayne. And Garrett, she's looking forward to hearing from Shay. And Garrett is here from South Africa. What a reach, Garrett, what a reach. We're just going to bring Shay on in just a few minutes. Oh, well, it looks like, I don't know if maybe Shay had a little bit of loss of Wi-Fi, but we'll see if she pops back in. And our subject today, as Shay wanted to explore it even further, was that talking about how we navigate no longer feeling that we are the person that we used to be. And I know that, so there's so many changes that goes on in our lives that we sometimes suddenly feel that we are no longer that person that we used to be. And until we get Shay back, I'll just tell my story of being that loss of identity, or no longer feeling like who I was before. I had the experience of 2020. You know, I think we could all write books and tell stories from 2020. And I think one day maybe we all will, that is something that just has not been unpacked since COVID. I hear so many stories about what people lost during 2020, how life changed. I mean, there was a lot of loss of identities. I know there were people that had jobs in offices, and suddenly that was gone, and people were working from home, no longer having that time, you know, that they would spend at the water cooler or being with other people. Oh, our sweet little Shay said she's having some technical difficulties. Shay, we're just going to pray you right back in here, okay? But just talking about, oh, there you go. Oh my goodness, Shay, I missed you there, and I was just in gratitude. I was thinking, oh, it's a good thing I have a gift for Gab, but not Gab, but to really carry the subject. And I just want to say thank you again, Shay, for being here, and thank you for getting through those technical difficulties. And Shay, you have a bit of a fan club here.
I do. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I so appreciate you all.
Yes, yes.
And thank you, Bonnie, for the invitation. I appreciate it. And of course, I will say a sacred yes.
And thank you for your sacred yes. And Shay, I want to thank you too for expanding on what on what we had originally talked about. Just talked about the loss of identity, but Shay, you were just able to bring even more depth to that subject in saying that you wanted to explore the grief as it's related to your spiritual journey, including the identity issues and what's on the other side. So I'm going to let you speak to that, Shay. I'm going to let you, and I'll be here listening and asking questions just like our listeners. So, yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, so being in a spiritual journey and choosing to do this work, it involves grief. And I don't know about you all, but I have certainly experienced a lot of grief when I have made the decision to be one with God, to be one with you, to be one with the earth and the universe. And it is interesting to me that, like you said in the intro, grief is kind of, it's a quiet thing, like you're not supposed to talk about it, and there's shame around it. And sometimes in a spiritual community, when you talk about some negative things that are going on with you, sometimes we are met with a kind of a spiritually bypassing kind of attitude of, well, don't stay in the story. Like, we want you to be lifted up in consciousness, and we want you to be happy. Of course you want me to be happy. I want to be happy too.
Right.
I want to be happy, and I am happy. And
Right.
when you say these affirmations, like say you just say, I am well. I am well. Just say, I am well. In my experience, when I say I am well and that all is well, that everything is working together for my highest good, those kinds of affirmations that we all love and we want to be in that vibrational frequency. What happens that we don't talk about too much, and that's why I love bringing this up, and thank you for the opportunity, is everything that is opposite of that, everything that is not in alignment with that divine inspired truth, the truth with a capital T, comes up to be healed. And
That's
that
interesting.
yeah. Is anybody with me on this situation? Because this has definitely occurred for me. And there have been a lot of tears shed and a lot of things that I have had to let go of, including parts of my old identity. And the part of me that is intact, that is always here, is that pure spiritual part of myself that, of course, never goes away. It's always still here. But I have had to let go of people who did not serve me. Very much, there's a lot of grief in there to have to let go of people, to have to let go of old belief patterns, to have to let go of old thought patterns that do not serve, on and on like that. And there is grief involved, and the grief needs to be shown the light. So the light comes in and heals the grief. And that has been a little snippet of my process.
Oh no! I was on. Well, there's a couple things, but grief needs to be shown the light. Hold that, because I'd like you to speak more to that. But what I was going to say, when you were talking about, especially being in spiritual communities when we have difficulties and hardships, there's always that feeling that, ooh, you're not doing something right. You're not praying right. You're not doing this right. Or I say that we live, and I'm sure you've heard the term, Shay, we live in this kind of a toxic positivity culture that we can't be like, oh, I am just bummed today, Shay. My daughter flew home to California and I'm missing her. And the other, it's quickly, it's, oh, but you're in gratitude that she came to visit. It's like, can I just feel sad in this moment that she had to go? So we're in that culture. And I want to say, I don't want people to feel like either one of us are beating up on anybody. We're just allowing some awareness around how we move and navigate so that we can, as Maya Angelou says, when we know better, we do better. So, and I love also when you say, I am, whatever follows I am is what you are. So, back to your saying that grief needs to be shown the light. What could you speak more to that?
Yes, and I just want to affirm what you are saying, that we are on exactly the same page about some toxic positivity or spiritual bypassing that does occur when I'm having a bad day. Now, as of now, I know that everything happens for my highest good, but I did not know that. So grief does need to be shown the light. Grief, negativity, trauma. Okay, so lots of trauma has happened across, well, everyone has some kind of trauma, right? And to be repressing that or shoving that down or just saying, oh, all is well, doesn't work. So, you know, you can go into gratitude, like just for an example, you call a prayer line and you start going into a story of, oh, I am in such a hard relationship with my mom. Like I am, oh, this is my story. I am estranged from her and it hurts my heart. I love my mom, but I cannot be with her because it's abusive. And this is called low contact and this is what I'm doing. And then the person on the other side of the line says, doesn't want you to go into the story because that's not what we do. Well, okay. So, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? Okay, so I say what I'm grateful for. Okay, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I'm alive and that I'm healthy and la la la. Okay, so that is going to raise my vibrational frequency. It's going to raise my vibrational frequency, and I will be better in that moment. I will be better in that moment. But that grief is still there. That grief that I came into the call with is still there. So that needs to be brought up. It needs to be acknowledged, needs to be seen. There might need to be some inner child work going on there, self-compassion. Self-compassion, like, you know, I am so sorry that you are feeling this way right now in your present life at 53. I'm so sorry that you are feeling that way. And I know consciously God is with me. Then I will go, so this is my process. This is how I give light to grief. I go inside. I see Christ consciousness inside of my body temple. Now, this is after years and years and years of creating these kinds of concepts and these kinds of visuals in my third eye that I can have this process, but this wasn't always this way. That I had this available. So I need to acknowledge what is going on and feel my feelings. Feel my feelings. Because being in gratitude is great, but I'll tell you what, when I actually feel my feelings and give a voice to the person that I used to be, speaking of identity, that I am allowed and allowing myself to be in the light, and then miracles start to happen. I start to heal. I start to actually heal.
Yes, Shay. I hear exactly what you're saying. I think so many times. Well, before I talk about the so many times, I want to acknowledge all of our beautiful guests that are out there.
Yes, thank you, Wayne and Michelle and Garrett. Thank you so much. Gina.
And Laura Brzezinski was right at the tippy top.
Laura, thank you, Laura, so much for being here.
Off. And then our beautiful Reverend Gina is there.
Thank you so much.
And she says, for many years I saw my role as cheerleader. It was what I was taught to be. Today, I purposely honor emotions, even the ugly ones. Oh, yes.
Yes, Gina.
Reverend Gina. Oh, yes. And Reverend Gina has Joy in the Journey, a program here on New Thought Media on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So be sure to check her out. She's a wealth of wisdom. She's a wise woman wisdom is what I call it. And what I was going to say, and to Reverend Gina's point, she's just helping me make the point, that it doesn't, lots of times the reason that people don't want to go into that dark space or feel those uncomfortable feelings is because they feel that they're going to be taken under and swept away, never to surface again. And I can just assure you that does not happen. That these emotions really, truly come to pass. They come up and they come through you to pass through you, to maybe get your attention around certain things. I'll just ask you to speak to that as well, Shay, about being afraid to lean into the discomfort.
It's a very fearful place, and it feels like, so our ego, it feels like we are going to die. Let's just say it. It feels like
let's use the word.
Let's just say it. I came on here to speak the truth, so I'm speaking the truth. Let's just say it. It feels like you might die if you actually felt the intense pain of whatever grief that this is. And that in and of itself needs to be addressed. That needs to be loved. That fear needs to be acknowledged. I see that you are so afraid of this emotion right now. I see that you are so afraid of this emotion, and that's okay. It's okay that you're afraid. And then moving through it anyway. So there we have the gift of courage. See, those gifts start to pop up as soon as you start to acknowledge and say, you know what? Yeah, this really hurts, and it feels like my heart is actually broken. Like it feels like it feels like it's coming apart in there, right? As soon as you start to say, I see you hurting in there, and I'm going to feel this anyway. Then we get courage. Then we have the gift of courage. We have the gift of self-love. I love myself so much that I do not want myself to hurt. So so it's a little backwards. It seems. In order for me to not hurt, I have to feel the hurt.
I know.
And acknowledge it.
Yeah, it's like, that's not making sense. I'm hurting to hurt. But no, it does make sense. I think it's Eleanor Roosevelt who says that you must do the very thing you think you cannot do. And that is to stop and look fear in the face.
Yes.
And knowing that if you can do that, that you can overcome anything. There is that is the one thing about grief and grieving that I'd speak about, is that grief gets your attention like nothing else does.
It does. And for me, grief shows up as grief and pain and anger and all the things that go along with grief. Because if you talk the 5 stages of grief, there's anger and denial and hopefully acceptance, which is pretty much where I am. And then another thing about that is they go in cycles. So you could be angry one day and in acceptance the very next day. And it's okay to run in and out of those different stages of grief. And I love what Eleanor Roosevelt said. There's also a giant freedom that comes with actually processing this grief and letting God heal you. I allow God to heal me. I say a phrase that I learned from Reverend Jim Webb. I let God in. I let God in to these hurt places. And I'll tell you what, if you do not do this work, it's happened with me, and it happens with lots and lots of other people, you don't acknowledge what is going on, your body temple will shut down. You will be in pain. You will have anxiety and depression and be diagnosed with all kinds of mental illnesses that we don't want. And then that's another thing that we have to face, the identity issues around that. So, the identity issues, for me, I used to think, before I did a bunch of this work from the trauma that I have experienced in my life, I used to seek approval outside all the time. So I was a perfectionist. I identified with my job, what I did. So I was a healer. I had the healer archetype. I identified with my job. I identified with my family of origin. I thought I was them. I thought I was daughter. I thought I was niece. I thought I was granddaughter. So identifying with all these roles, we are not our roles. And there is a huge freedom that comes with knowing that I am a divine child of God, that I am the embodiment of spirit. And I share this with the world. And I want to go back to what Garrett said. An angel was sent to me to understand the need for change and the importance of identity change. Yes, Garrett, thank you for saying that. Throughout our lives, we must go through bunches and bunches of different identities until we do this work and come to the conclusion through spiritual practices that we are an embodiment of spirit. We are God expressing itself in, through, and as us. And on the other side of all of this work, this contemplation, prayer, meditation, visioning, acknowledging and feeling our feelings, I have a beautiful laundry list of the gifts that come out of that. And I'm ready to share them if you're ready to go into the light.
And I don't know if you want to share them here, but I want to get to Reverend Gina's comment here about let the cap off and allow yourself to breathe and grow. Otherwise, we remain or continue to suffer in silence or poisoned by denial.
Yeah, denial.
So I think that's poisoned by denial. That is, that's a very toxic one. And and as you talked about, that's repressed grief. What you resist will persist, and it does manifest in the body as illness, as Reverend Gina has talked freely about how you know she had 27 tumors or 29 tumors in her kidneys from all this repression of grief. But you were saying that you had a laundry list, Shay.
Yes, because I just spoke about how seeking approval from the outside. Well, now I am able to have, instead of seeking approval from the outside through all of these spiritual practices, now what I seek is, first ye seek the kingdom of God, and all else will be added unto thee. So I have come out the other side of this. However, I go back, I'm just going to call it the dark side right now. It just came to me. I can go back to the dark side. It comes up. Things come up, but I deal with them as they come up. So the light now is, I seek ye first the kingdom of God. So I have an internal locus of identity instead of an external one. I don't need anyone else to tell me that I am a good person, that I am doing the good work on the face of the planet, because I know that I am, because God told me to.
Yes.
So if God tells you to do something, God gives you the vision, God will give you the provision. So, so on the other side of this, I am now knowing that I am the embodiment of the Christ conscious, that I can embody Buddha consciousness and live in the present moment. And when I slide back, I know how to address that. So on the other side of this, I have a bunch of demonstrations in my life structures. I have friendship, I have fellowship, I have service that I can do. I have my show coming up. We haven't talked about that yet, but I have been given, this is how God works. When you seek ye first the kingdom of God, all else will be added unto you. I have been receiving, because I have done this work and acknowledged the pain and worked through it through God's grace. I am being given blessings on a silver platter. God just says, Here you go. Oh, I told you to teach what you have learned and how you have gotten through from barely surviving to actually thriving. God told me, please teach this. How did you do this? Please teach this. Well, I don't
Right.
have a platform. I don't know how to do it. What am I going to do? You know how your ego will go off, right? Your
Love
ego
it.
says,
Well, gotta love it.
no, I don't know how to do it. La la. Well, okay, well, go on YouTube. I can't figure out YouTube. Okay, well then guess what? Here comes New Thought Media Network. There's the platform. Here's your show. You want to teach what you have learned? Well, just talk to Reverend Robert Brzezinski, and he says, I like this idea, and I want you to talk about these miracles. So on the other
Wow.
side of all of this, how much gratitude could I possibly have after having
Right.
survived what I survived? And I didn't even tell y'all what I've survived yet. And I don't even want to go into it, but it's a
Okay.
lot. It's a lot, you know?
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Well,
Gratitude.
yeah. That's
Mhm.
there's a lot that you've said that I would really like to unpack. And what I would like to start with is that I'm sure there are listeners out there who are grieving, who are in that place of just we'll just call it just unhappiness, a dark space, and may not have a spiritual practice. What do you say to those people, Shay? What do you say to those people
To
that
those people.
don't have a spiritual practice, and how do they navigate the dark waters? And what would you say? I'll just put it that way. What would you say?
I would say I have so much compassion for you. I feel for you. I know what this is like. I have been there. I feel what you are feeling. I have felt it and I have moved through it. If it's possible for me, it is possible for you. And I know that in this dark place, it seems impossible, but it is possible. And I bless you, and I want you to know that even if you don't feel like this is true, God is right where you are. God is right where you are. You are always connected to God. And to feel and know this connection, it takes prayer, communing with the Spirit. It
Mhm.
takes meditation, getting quiet, feeling your feelings. If you just feel your feelings and accept that they are there, they will pass, they will dissipate.
Right.
And if you need help, you reach out to someone to help you. Please do reach out to someone to help you. There are spiritual practitioners, there are reverends, and all kinds of people in these
Mhm.
communities. Agape International Spiritual Center has a prayer line. Centers for Spiritual Living have all kinds of prayer lines. New Thought Media Network has a prayer request line where you can email them. I don't know if you have that email address here.
For which one?
New Thought Media, ntmedia.org. You can send a prayer request into New Thought
Great.
Media, and the prayer team there will pray for you. If you need support and you need help, please reach out. God is with you, and you are loved. You are loved. You are loved. You are cared about, even if it doesn't seem that way. Seeing beyond appearances, like we talk about in New Thought, it takes practice. It takes a lot of practice, and it takes knowing that you are one with God, and you are one with God, and you will get through this.
Yes. And I would like to add to that, Shay, my big calling card is don't do grief alone. Do not do grief alone. You cannot, as I said, heal in isolation. There was a group in a tribe in Senegal. When someone has a loss or experiencing a big loss, and the idea is that they don't say that, that Shay is in grief. They say grief has found us, that it's a communal emotional state. And in that communal emotional state is caring for each other, checking in on each other. And I ask people, here. If you know someone that is in grief, check in on them. If you're a spiritual practitioner, invite them. Oh, thank you. Laura has put in to the comments, the prayer request line. And the idea is not doing grief alone. If you can't reach out for prayer, if you don't have a friend to reach out, then reach out for professional help. There are even support groups. You just need to reach out, to just take that first step. And, prayer always works, and calling in to get a prayer would be, just the way. Oh, they have prayer twice a day here on New Thought Media. Yep. 8 a.m., 8:15 Mountain Time, and 8 p.m., then 8 p.m., 8:15 p.m. Mountain Time. Oh, but yes. I got that right. I wanted to get back to a comment by Garrett. And Garrett says, the lonely feeling of growing day by day within one is so exciting. Mm-hmm. Oh, the lovely, I'm reading lonely. It's like, really? Lonely is exciting? It's like the lovely feeling of growing day by day within one is so exciting. To allow and accept God, to express His perfection through one or you is wonderful. Thank you. And then Laura did go on to put in the prayer request line. So that is prayer@ntmedia.org. So it sounds like we've got them covered. We've got them covered, Shay.
Yes.
I wanted to say that about not doing grief alone and reaching out for help. And if you know someone that's in grief, please, please, please reach out to them. And one of the things in reaching out, so many times I hear people say, well, I didn't reach out because I didn't know what to say. I didn't want them to feel bad. I didn't want them to feel worse. And it's like, no, never underestimate the power of your presence. You don't have to say anything. You really don't have to say anything, but just be. Or you can just simply say, I am here for you. The other thing that I've encouraged people to say when they say they don't know what to say, you can say just that. I don't know what to say. I just want to be here with you. So we're yes. So we're there. Yes. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we're just talking about how to get help and how to be of help. But you started to say something about what not to say. Was I correct in that? That you were just ready to say?
No, I wasn't going to say that. Well, I mean, I can go on that path if you'd like to. Yeah, okay. So what not to say is all is well. All is well. Well, nah.
I need you to get something from the printer, but my show for 15
all is not well. Bonnie, your mic is on. Yeah. So what not to say? I think what you have said about I don't know what to say is a very honest thing to say when you really don't know what to say. That is the thing to do. Yeah, people don't know really what to say, and that's okay. And so what I would like to say about that is, yes, reach out, like you were saying, Bonnie, reach out for help. Don't do it alone. But here's the ticker too. The kicker is reach inside of you, reach into your own resources and your own heart as well. Both things are so important, because that love. So when we're in grief, it's probably because we think that we have really lost something. Oh, and here's something not to say too. Someone said this to me when I lost somebody and I almost punched them. They said something like, there is no such thing as loss, only what is meant to happen. And I believe that now, but you can't say that to someone who's in active grief, like right in this very moment, because it will be just like you don't care about them. So empathy and compassion are the most important things for me. If I were having a loss, I would want someone to say, I am so sorry that this is happening, and you will get through it, even though it doesn't seem like it at the time.
And Shay, I just wanted to say the reason we're really having this discussion is because we've not been taught. We've not been taught, first of all, how to grieve. We've not been taught what to say to a griever. So I want people that are listening right now to really be gentle with yourself, because we're here learning. We're here learning. We're here talking about new ways of being. This is a new day. It's a new day. It's no longer that, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and, your pressure on. We're learning. We're really, truly learning how to be. And as Shay, as you said about reaching in, some of us have not been taught how to do that, how to really go within. And I offer to just start with just being gentle with yourself and just knowing that there's no one to blame or finger pointing. It's just that we as a culture are learning a new day and a new way. And so I didn't know if there's any other points that you would love to share on this. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, I wanted to ask you. I want to ask your question. You talked about changing as you embarked on the spiritual journey and path, and having to give up or having some losses along the way. Is there anything that you'd like to share around that, about the losses that you have encountered on this journey?
Yeah, the losses are, well, to be a clear and crystal transparent vessel of God, some things have got to go. Some things have really got to go. So toxic relationships have got to go. For me, the prescription medications that I was given for chronic pain, they had to go. All of them had to go. Alcohol had to go. It all had to go, because in order to be this vessel, that all had to go. So like part of my identity around being the life of the party and bar hopping and really self-destructive behaviors of being super just like flirtatious and I was a crazy person. I'm just a completely different person now. That person that I was is not really that those behaviors are gone. And that's because I became very clear. And now my consciousness is now in more of alignment. So what has happened with me when I've let these things go, the toxic relationships, my parents, my family, it all had to go. There is a lot of grief involved when you have to let go of your family who you love. I still love my family. I love them, but I will not tolerate being abused.
Yes.
So all of that had to go. And of course, I wanted to medicate myself with prescription drugs and alcohol, even though they were prescribed to me. It doesn't make it any less repressing and pushing that pain down.
Yes.
And so all of that had to go. So the person that I am now is my personality now is in alignment with my spirit, as it was not before. That is an identity shift. Like I cannot even tell you how much of an identity shift that is, to go from my own toxic behaviors into being in alignment with Christ consciousness, my personality aligning with my spirit. That is my identity now. Yes. And it is very clear. And I do have to remind myself every day that that is who I am. And I have no desire to go back. And I don't, I don't grieve the person that I used to be. I love her. I love every single part of myself, and I
Yeah.
forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive those who have trespassed against me. And the Lord's Prayer came to me this morning, and it was very clear to me that in this process, I have been able to access and to embody and to allow heaven being on earth. So on earth as it is in heaven, on earth as it is in heaven, I forgive those who trespassed against me, and I pray that my trespasses are forgiven. And I lay down my weapons. I lay down any of my weapons, and I ask that the knives in my back are taken out. And there's grief there. There's grief there. But then right after I had that vision, doves appeared. Doves appeared. Doves.
Beautiful
Peace.
meditation.
So when you cry and you say, "Oh, these knives, they were not fun and they hurt," this was just today. These knives, taking these knives out of here, it's not a one and done process. So
Right.
you have to keep doing it, right?
Great.
And then
Wow, Shay.
peace is right there.
Peace. Oh, Shay, yes, you have to come back. You have to come back because I want to have time for you to promote your show quickly. And I want to do a promotion too for the Convention of Americas that's happening here in Chapala. So tell us about your new show that starts August 25th on New Thought Media right here on Friday, August 25th. And Joe, if you could just show, yes, this is our Shay. We are miracles, wham. And that's going to be Friday, 12 noon Mountain Time. And that's starting August 25th. So mark your calendar. Discover our miracles. Did you want to just say a word or two, Shay, about your new program?
Yes. So this is a demonstration of what it's like to do this work and have your calling answered and being able to fulfill the calling with the provision that God provides. My show is called We Are Miracles, and it is based on, it's a miracle I'm still alive after everything I've gone through, right? And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. It is based on the idea that Einstein put out. And it says there are two ways to live your life. One, as if nothing is a miracle, and two, as if everything is a miracle. After I've done this work, I can really see the thread in my life that everything is a miracle. Everything is a miracle, including everything that I went through. Because if I did not go through that, say I had a posh upbringing with loving parents and lots of money and a beautiful, stable house and home life and all of these beautiful things that sometimes when you've had a hard time, you wish you would have had. Well, now I wouldn't change that for the world because it made me dig deep. It made me go to God. And now I am living the miracle that I am. And if I'm a miracle, you're a miracle too. And I'm sure that everyone has their miracle stories. And I ask that everyone, please let me know what your miracle stories are. And we are going to be discussing miracles. I'm going to be having guests on, and I'm going to be telling more of the story and how I did go from barely surviving, just hanging on by my fingernails, to now thriving and being in a very spiritual beingness, being in the presence of God. And I just let the light so shine before me that when people see me, they see the presence. And to me, that is a miracle.
Wow, Shay, beautiful. You are a miracle. You truly are a miracle message that is life-changing. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on, Bonnie. I really appreciate you.
So I can't wait because we are miracles. Wham, let's not forget it. Let's not forget it. Thank you, Shay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yes. And I want to just shift and just invite all of those tomorrow. Starts the conference, I'm sorry, I keep saying the conference, the convention of the Americas, which is happening right down here in Mexico, in Chapala. And you can still click on, and if you're local, if you're listening local, there are local spaces available. I know you could probably even get a flight in. You fly into Guadalajara and you can be in Chapala in 30 minutes from there. But it's a beautiful conference. It's entitled Sharing the Light. Really some great speakers. Reverend Jeffrey Ryan is the one that comes to mind. And I see that we have some other listeners here. Looks like Zoe. Glad to be able to spend this time with you both. Thank you. And Laura says thank you. And I just thank each and every one of you for listening today and for being an active part, an active participant of this program. And what I'd like to just invite you to do, if you're in that space of grief, and if you're having difficulty, do reach out. Do reach out for help. I'm here. I'm a grief coach. Shay is a psychologist. We're both here. We're both here for you. And that's Shay's contact information to find her. And as I say, let's not do grief alone. Let's change this. Let's change the way we perceive grief. Let us embrace it, because grief is very healing and transformative. So with that, I just ask you to just, today, just take a look in the mirror, just look in your own eyes and ask yourself, what do I need today? What do I need? Whatever comes up, whatever that request is from your internal self, honor it. As I said, because you're so worthy of happiness and moving through grief, to see the beauty of grief, to see how healing grief is. So with that, I just thank you, and I thank Shay again for her yes, and I thank each and every person that has joined us and that will join us, even if you're not here right now with us. And looks like there's some other thank yous. Yes, so be well.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Next time.
Processing grief is a spiritual practice.
Yes. Thank you. See you next week. Ciao.